Good morning, Trinity. This is a favorite story of mine. I used to read it to the 8th graders twice a year, on the first day of school and on the last day of school. And it's very much a favorite of mine, and I'd like to share it with you today. It's written by Pamela J. DeRoy, and it begins with a statement that says, "Love is a wonderful thing. You never have to take it away from one person to give it to another. There's always more than enough to go around." Lisa, my 2-year-old daughter, and I were walking down the street toward home one sunny morning when 2 elderly women stopped in front of us. Smiling down at Lisa, they looked at her and one of them said, "Do you know you are a very beautiful little girl?" Sighing and putting her hand on her hip, Lisa replied in a bored voice, "Yes, I know." A bit embarrassed by my daughter's seeming conceit, I apologized to the 2 ladies. And we continued our walk home. All the way there, I was trying to determine how I was going to handle this situation. A bit embarrassed, again, we went into the house. I sat down and stood Lisa in front of me. I gently said, "Lisa, when those 2 ladies spoke to you, they were talking about how pretty you are on the outside. It's true, you are very pretty on the outside. That's how God made you. But a person needs to be beautiful on the inside too." As she looked at me uncomprehendingly, I continued, "Do you want to know how a person is beautiful on the inside?" She nodded solemnly. "Okay. Being beautiful on the inside is a choice you make, honey. To be good to your parents, a good sister to your brother, and a good friend to the children you play with. You have to care about other people, honey. You need to share your toys with your playmates. You need to be caring and loving when someone is in trouble or gets hurt and needs a friend. When you do all those things, you are beautiful on the inside. Do you understand what I'm saying?" "Yes, Daddy. I'm sorry I didn't know that," she replied. Hugging her, I told her I loved her and that I didn't want her to forget what I had said. That subject never came up again. Nearly 2 years later, we moved from the city into the country, and we enrolled Lisa in a preschool program. In her class was a little girl named Gianna, whose mother had died. The child's father had recently remarried a woman who was energetic, warm, and spontaneous. It was readily apparent that she and Gianna had a very wonderful relationship. One day, Lisa asked if Janet could come over to play for an afternoon. So I made arrangements with her stepmother to take Gianna home with us the next day after the morning session. As we were leaving the parking lot the following day, Gianna said, "Can we go see my mommy?" I knew her stepmother was working, so I said cheerfully, "Sure. Do you know how to get there?" Gianna said she did, and following her directions, I soon found myself driving up a gravel road into a cemetery. My first response was that of alarm, as I thought of the possible negative reaction of Gianna's parents when they learned what had happened. But this was very obvious that visiting her mother's grave was very important to her, something she needed to do. She was trusting me to take her there. Refusing would send her a message that it was wrong of her to want to go there. Outwardly calm, as though I'd known this is where we were going all along, I asked, "Gianna, do you know where your mother's grave is?" "I know about where it is," she responded. "I parked on the road in the area she indicated, and we looked around until I found a grave with her mother's name on a small marker. The two little girls sat down on one side of the grave, and I sat down on the other. And Gianna started talking about the things and how things had been at home in the months before and leading up to her mother's death, as well as even what had happened the very day she died. She spoke for some time, and all the while, with little Lisa with tears streaming down her face, quietly, over and over, kept on patting Gianna and saying, "Oh, Gianna, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry your mother died." Finally, Jenna looked at me and said, "You know, I still love my mommy, and I love my new mommy too." Deep in my heart, I knew that this is the reason she had asked to come here. Smiling down at her, I said reassuringly, "You know, Gianna, that's the wonderful thing about love. You never have to take it away from one person to give it to another. There's always more than enough to go around. It's kind of like a giant rubber band that stretches to surround all the people that you care about." I continued, "It's perfectly fine and right for you to love both of your mothers. I'm sure your own mother is very glad that you have a new mommy to love you and take care of you and your sisters." Smiling back at me, she appeared satisfied with my response. We sat quietly for a few minutes, and then we all stood up, brushed ourselves off, and went home. The girls played happily after lunch until Gianna's stepmother came to pick them up. Briefly, without going into a lot of detail, I told her what had occurred that afternoon and why I had handled the things the way I had. To my profound relief, she was very understanding and appreciative. After they left, I picked up Lisa in my arms. I sat her down in a kitchen chair, kissed her on the cheek, and hugged her and said, "Lisa, I am so proud of you. You were such a wonderful friend to Gianna this afternoon. I know it meant a lot to her that you were so understanding and that you cared about her sadness and felt it with her." A pair of lovely blue eyes looked seriously into mine as my daughter said, "Daddy, was I beautiful on the inside? Was I beautiful on the inside?" What a wonderful remark, and a true remark given by a young child. Too often today, judgments and opinions are all surface. They're oriented that way, not really looking or caring what we see past the surface. I would like to tell you today, strive to be beautiful on the inside. Let everyone see just what you are made of, not just what people see with their eyes. And look at those you love with those same eyes. I hope you have a blessed day and be safe as you go through these days here together.